All right, and now I'm going to change it where, actually, you know what? I mean, last time I did it and that didn't change it. Does anybody want to be unmuted and ask a question? Did anything make sense? Do you want to drill deeper on anything? Was I talking like a crazy chicken and just confused? Oh, and Wade, the 2-in-1 options are actually, no, those are part of the Windows object. And if I remember right, I had to change it to 0x1 and 0x2, which Jackie can answer that part better than me. I forget, that's the hexadecimal address. Is that what that is? I don't know, for a 0 and a 1 or a 1 and a 2, but yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like hex numbers at least.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember why you'd need to use one over the other. But yeah, if it was the version that you used with the script file object, was that one?
It was this one.
Yeah, I can't actually see your screen, so.
Yeah, that's when I hit the wrong button. Hold on. There we go. Oh, and here I did notice. So yeah, this is. It looks like. Oh, here I did do it. I just didn't update. I see. I did it here. But here's where I was passing 0x1 or 0x2. I made the default to copy if it's blank, but if it's not copy, then I can put in move, which I should have documented here, and that will, depending which one it is, right? Let's see here. Method goes. Sorry, right here. Method. So right here, it changes what parameter gets passed. And it's either going to be the 0x1 or 0x2, and that's what tells it to either copy or to move the file.
Yeah.
Glenn, did you want to get unmuted to ask? Or does anybody have any specific questions? Oh, I'm sorry. Shit. Hold on. I just swore. Sorry. There was one more slide. I forgot. All right, this was, to me, it's one of the most important things of like, well, holy cow, there were a lot of different ways to do things. So, you know, how do you know which one to use and when, and how do you come up with that decision? So the big thing to me is like, you know, how much data are you moving? Is it the entire file? Can you read in the entire file all at once into a variable and then parse it? Because more often than not, that's a really fast, easy way to do stuff. If you're trying to evaluate a lot of different things within each file, using the file loop type approach where you have each one already broken out separately, it's much easier to control. Do you care about, are you doing, you know, thousands of file appends? And as Jackie said, I could write it all, or at least a lot of it, into a bigger variable and then save it. But depending on what you're doing, if you're doing web scraping or something, and you could end up losing some data, or, you know, having to worry that something goes wrong, or just, you know, the more complex things are, the more chances are things might go wrong. And so I like to write my data more frequently. But would you be, you know, over caching to writing to your hard drive too frequently?
Yeah, all good things to consider at least. So yeah, and of course, it depends on how big a project you are actually working on, how much you're doing. As you said yourself, I'm working with many files, large files. I'm reading very quickly to, let's say, the same file or a lot of different files. Yeah.
You know, and what I didn't put in here, but I need to, is what if other people are trying to access the same file on a network drive? Right, the file object would allow you to kind of help control for that, lock it when you're busy. You know, of course, you'd have to plan for that on their side too. But the file append, the file append, I think conceivably there could be a problem if you were both trying to write to it at the same time. Right, that might have some issues.
Yeah, I'd say one of the places where I actually found that the file object is a good option is when working with a synchronized folder, let's say with Dropbox.
I was just going to mention that, yeah.
Where exactly I had this issue where I was using file append, and for some reason a few of my appends didn't happen, And that's of course because Dropbox was actually locking the file to synchronize it with the cloud. So
yeah. So in my case, I had that was what I was just going to bring up, Jackie. Was we were writing to using file append. You know, really, I'd have a list of like 20 things, and each one was an individual row, you know, on a topic, and I was writing each one separately, and I was going so fast. But I think, as Jackie's saying, is like in the meantime, Dropbox would do something with the file, and not everything got written, and it. I had a little sleep into it, and it took care of it. But that's not the best approach, right? But it did get around it. But it is something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, all right. And Glenn, I don't know if you answered. Did I see you answer? Did you want to get unmuted to ask your question?
Yeah, he said yes.
Oh, he did. I'm sorry. When I see a question there, but let me go ahead and just unmute him anyway. There he is. Unmute. There you go.
Hello. Thank you for the workshop. And also, I just have a question. When you was doing the copying methods and the reading methods, good ways to use those methods are in projects. Which past projects have you used it on?
Boy, a better question. Which ones didn't I use it on? Right? I mean, almost anything I can think of, I'm storing data in one way or the other. It's rare for me not to do something, want to save something, right? To do something with the data I've collected.
And so, when you learned about moving and copying files, what resource did you use to learn about it?
I would just the forum, in reading the help files, because they're pretty decent at explaining how the usage. Now, what it takes a while to that's why it's and I suck at it, is thinking through exactly how you're going to use it and what the best approach is, right? Depending on thinking through how many different files you're working with. Do you know the locations of all of them right away? Do you want to have all the contents of the data at once, right? And understanding how you can best utilize it. That's honestly, and that's just experience, I think, it's not something you can read, to learn.
You have to learn how to think about it. It takes a skill and experience to know what to do next when certain scenarios happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's at least some amount of trial and error with it, because of course the commands are well enough documented that you feel like you're able to use them like they're supposed to be used. But one of the things is that the Dropbox synchronization that we both happen to run into, that's not something that you would know before actually hitting that bump in the road. Whereas you simply just have a file that hasn't been appended correctly, and you might not actually think about it actually being a synchronized folder.
Well,
so, yeah.
And I can tell you this, I'd used, file append for, 4 years with Dropbox and never once had an issue. So it never crossed my mind until troubleshooting wise, I think I moved it onto my RAM drive and everything was working. And then I started moving it to different folders because I didn't think it was still Dropbox. I just thought, oh, it's a protection issue that, Windows, sometimes I have issues accessing certain folders, like on my work laptop, right, when I was at a corporate office. And I thought that was it. But that took me quite a while to figure out what in the world was going on.
Okay. I just have some general questions, but if anyone has specific questions, I could go last, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing any questions, so I think you're good.
Basically, I'm trying to learn AutoHotkey more, and some of the things that's helpful like you mentioned, hot strings and hotkeys.
Mm-hmm.
I know some hotkeys, and when you say hot strings, you mean pressing a certain key combination to create a sentence automatically. That's what you mean?
Like that? Yeah.
Yeah. How do you do that, and how does that work? And what code do you have to do?
So right here are a bunch of my hot strings, right? And so let's keep it real simple. This, you put in 2 colons, right? And then the abbreviation you want, I like to end mine with a period, just for a lot of mine, most end with a period, but not all. And then 2 colons, and then you put in what you want it to be, right? What you want to get inserted.
But when the JTA period that you just typed,
Yep.
that you typed, does that have to be in combination at the same time pressed, or one after the other?
No. That's why in here, if you watch, if I type JTA and a space, even, right, it's looking for those, not at the same J, and I'll wait a while, and a T, and I'll wait a while, and a space, or sorry, A, wait a while, period, and nothing. And now when I finally hit space, right, it dumps it in there, right?
Okay.
It's looking for, and so it's actually can be a little tricky because, like, I'll be writing someone and try to say, like, what were the factors that that you had to use? Unfortunately, I'll say, what is the factor, or that is a factor. Let's say that, right? But I have a hot string on factor that inserts my hot string to the factor macro I wrote, right? Which is not at all what I was trying to write. So in order to get around it, what you have to do is break the pattern. So I would say, what is the factor? And then I got to be careful. Don't hit period. I'll hit a space. I'll go back and hit my period. And now when I hit a space, see, it didn't trigger it.
Okay.
And the other thing, one other one I'll add is, see how, like, these have O's in between the 2 colons?
Yeah.
Right? That, if I don't want a space, see how there's no space added at the end?
Yeah.
That's when I have the O. If I get rid of that and reload it, now when I do the same exact thing, see how it inserts a space? So most things like a password or an email address, I more often than not, I don't want a space at the end. And so that little O right here is what prevents that from happening.
Okay.
But again, all of these options for the hot strings are also described in the documentation.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot. You can see just above that, he has a large C or a capital C between the colons, which again makes it case sensitive.
Okay.
And so there are quite a few options you can actually input there, and the C code behind AutoHotkey actually handles all of these options. So yeah.
And then sending multiple lines or sending special characters like an exclamation point and things. There are certain characters that you have to be aware of, but it's not that hard, right? I mean, it's actually pretty easy overall. It just, you have to know, certain things are a little more, work than others. But as you can see, I have a lot of them, right? And yeah, they're amazingly helpful.
Yeah, but one thing to note, or at least I feel is worth noting about hotkey strings, is that they can work just like a hotkey. If you don't put a text string on the end, but just put a new line and put commands below it, it will just act as the start of any other hotkey routine. You're welcome to use it as the initializer of a lot of other stuff than just text substitution. Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So now if I do, so see how that made the message box pop?
Oh, okay.
So you can use it to trigger. It's not. I think I have a couple that do that, but it's not something I regularly do. I mean, I think it's just my preference, right? It has nothing to do with being right or wrong.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other thing you can do, of course, is have a hotkey, send your keystrokes. So I have hotkeys that will send passwords because I hate even typing the 3-letter abbreviation, right? Because I use them so much.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm bad at actually keeping old hotkeys and old hot strings, so I often just reuse the F keys for whatever, and then turn off whatever used it last, and just keep using F2 as an example. So whatever comes to mind or whatever need I have right now, I'll use a few single hotkeys, whereas Joe is much better at actually keeping a large active list of both
Too
hot
big.
strings.
Yeah. Here's an example where this, if I hit Alt 1, it goes and reads a file that's not on my Dropbox stuff. It's basically in a separate file and it's encrypted. And so it reads it and then it decrypts it and stores it here, and then it will send it to whatever screen I'm in and then blank out the variable. I'm not going to demonstrate it for. Actually, you know what? This is my old work one, so it doesn't matter. I need to get rid of it, but I just never use it. But if I hit Alt 1, it sends that wherever I am.
Okay.
Right, and that's what that did, was it read it. So I go encrypt it and store it in a file on my computer that's not under, that's not in the cloud. And that way also, if I share this file, I don't share my passwords, right? So it's real easy. That way I'm like, I'd really have to go out of my way to forget to remove my passwords, and when I accidentally, give it to somebody.
What's some of the common hot strings you've been using for today?
Well, one is obviously when I'm coding. All right, if I hit R period space, right, that inserts that nice row so I can give a title.
Oh.
But then if I'm doing like, I need to do a for loop, I have a hot string that will dump in, right, this is my demo code of like, okay, here's my data, right, and then this is my for loop, and then I have, you know what, in this case I don't need these, I can delete that, but I have basically a template to automatically, tweak. And I got lots of them like that where it helps me code faster for the things I use a lot. Like, trying to see where they are for AutoHotkey. The other one I use a lot, so see, this is a different kind of a hot string, but let's say I wanted to jump to a certain folder, I could be in here, and so I'm going to hit open, and if I hit P period, so see how I typed TA, and then it jumped me. That was what it does, is it's the TA dumps in the path to that folder and then sends a line return. So it automatically dumps me to the folder I want to go to.
Oh, wow.
So folders that I use a lot, right, that's why I have that handy.
Very handy.
Yeah, it when you're working, especially now, Jean's tool, is Jean still on? Yeah. It negates a lot of that because you can pre-build that. I can be in here and say, I don't know what button I hit. Did I hit open? I guess so. Now, if I'm here and I can say folders, I could have pre-designated it here. And let's say to go to so I built it in here, and it does exactly the same thing. It automatically activates this window for me and drops me to that folder, right? And it has it in a GUI. So when I hit this button, this is his tool, the quick pop-ups. And for ones I use a lot, I use the path methodology that I just showed you. For ones I don't use as frequently and I can't quite remember the hot string, I'll put them in here, and then I can easily access the folders. I've said I use these folders a lot, and it works with any. Jean, help me with or anyone, the name of this dialog box, the open or the save dialog box that you're on. It'll actively look for it, which is just really cool. And I think if it's not open, does it just open the folder? If I hit it here and there's not an active one, yeah, it opened it on the other window. So it would open an Explorer window to that folder if I don't have an active I know there's a certain name for those.
But ain't they just called dialogues? Or
could be I thought there was a special one, but anyway, yeah, dialogue. That could be what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it probably has a specific name, but yeah, it doesn't come to mind right now.
Dialogue boxes is what John says. So the other thing, and I think we alluded to this a little bit last time as well, was Studio just does not like blank files. Let's try this again. So this is a menu where, like, I have my AutoHotkey. I thought I had some still stuff where I could dump in code. Oh yeah, no, those are launchers. But let's say my SQL stuff, because it's still in the older things, and this will send my syntax to the active window, right? Now I loved that I could do all this, but with Jean's tool, it's the same thing. It's like I can go in and I can say in AutoHotkey now, all my new stuff, I've been using the quick access pop-up, and I'll say, oh, this loop that I demonstrated a second ago, my for loop object, I have it in there now. And so I don't have to remember the hot strings. I just, again, something I use a lot, like these for loops, I use that a lot. So I'm still keeping that in both, because if I my hands on the keyboard, I just want to type that and get it out. But
yeah, that's probably one of the biggest things with the hot strings, right?
Yeah.
Is that you actually can just keep your hands on the keyboard, and of course, but yeah, to me as well, with you having so many that you actually forget which ones does what. Then, of course, having some of them put into some kind of visual assistant, like this quick access pop-up here,
right.
That's a great addition to what you already have. But yeah, in maybe a normal case where I would use a hot string is I use it for project numbers at work, whereas I maybe type those in once a week or once a month, depending on which projects I work on. And it's just easier to have them in 3-letter short versions instead of actually remembering the 18-letter or whatever it might be.
Yeah, what I used to do at work was I'd have a hot string that would be like PAS for password, and it would automatically insert my crazy ass work password, that I have supposed to remember, because I could never remember it. And so I could use no matter what my password was, I had to remember one thing. And so in Jackie's case, he could remember, oh, it's the first project, or it's a second project, or it's a third project. He doesn't have to remember the whole number, right? It's just which one was it, right? And then it would insert.
Yeah, and one of the things I actually do is use the everyday word that when we talk about a project, I would use that as the actual hot string instead of remembering some kind of weird long project number, and just type that, and then it would post in whatever I needed. So yeah, and as you said yourself, Joe, it would be quite nice to actually use it for the passwords, because changing your password as often as my work actually requires is just a pain.
Yeah. I saw Jean's note there. I didn't realize. That's awesome. His tool will send it in the command window to the folder. That is awesome. I don't know if I'll remember that, though, because it's unexpected to me. I wouldn't expect that. But it's amazing, because man, if you're playing around in that command window, I just used I used DOS to still navigate, and it sucks, but I can get there. That's awesome.
Repeat what the comment Josh made. He made that sends it to the window.
Well, no, Jean. So if you're in the command window, right, the window shell, right, and let's say I'm at the. Do I have to do CD in front of that? I didn't think so.
You simply can't go to the C.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Anyway, I can be in here, and I can jump to a folder, right? Anything he's built in here, I don't have to navigate through it with DOS. It'll automatically jump to it.
Oh, cool. And so,
Go ahead.
So basically, that's with the program called the Popup Window, Popup tool.
Yeah, it does a lot. I mean, we have a whole. Actually, no, not a whole one. Actually, Jean and we did like I think it was over an hour where he demonstrated the tool, and we went through everything. And so he has a great like 5 to 7 minute video overview, but it's a really robust tool that has amazing functionality. So I'm selling it short to say this is what it does, because it does that and so much more, right? You can have links to websites, you can have links to folders, to groups of files, you can add. And so here, this is where I can say, I'm going to add in, you know, a link to a folder, to a document, a program. You can list the special folders. Snippets is where I'm inserting my code, and then grouping the menus and submenus. And so that's what, when you see here, that's a menu and a submenu, and I have submenus under those, right? And so that's all built into there. So it does an amazing amount of different stuff. It's also in how many languages, John? 8, 11? I don't know. Crazy amount.
Wow. How do I access the videos that John you made?
Yeah. On his website, you'll see links to them. Yeah. Or I have, if you look at on my YouTube channel, there's for just quick access pop-up. We talked about it.
What's John's website?
He linked to it here, the quick access pop-up in the chat.
Okay. And so I could just download it from his website, the program?
Yeah. Yeah. It's shareware.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's his website. This is the main video. And then honestly, the main video, and then there's one a little bit deeper level. I think this top one's like 5 minutes, but the other one's like 7 minutes. It's a little bit more in depth. The one that him and I go into, it's really, if you care about the nitty gritty stuff, which it is amazing, right? It was just, we really talked through, because he has it set up like if you're working with teams and they can have shared menus that they both have in common, and other ones, you know, they have their own at the same time. There's a lot of amazing functionality.
How do I get into the in-depth video with you and John?
I'd say just look up me on YouTube and look for a quick access pop-up.
Okay. It's on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And then I saw a question. Go ahead.
No, it's not important.
42 minutes. This must be the one here.
Okay. Quick access. Create shortcuts to folders and programs. Okay. Create folders. Create shortcuts to folders and program snippets with quick access pop-up.
You'll see later, John has to run. Yeah, it's awesome. And then I saw a Kitch. I'll try that. When are you gonna? Yeah. Kitch, you have my email address, right? If you want to email me, hopefully you're in the States, which would make it a lot easier. But even if you're not, I can try to mail you some stickers. But if anyone wants to buy a bottle or two, or I have merchandise.
Yeah, nice. Where have you actually promised people stickers, Joe?
No, but you know they're not selling, so I don't really mind giving them away. I mean, it was never to make quote unquote make money. You know, it wouldn't hurt, but yeah, I'm happy. It's the tricky part is if you're in other countries, mailing becomes a pain.
Yeah, sure thing. It really does. I think that I'm allowed to maybe import for, I think it's below 80 crowns worth of merchandise from the US without actually being hit by taxes. So that would be something like $12 worth of stuff. And then I would be hit by something to the amount of $30 in actual cost for them to just look at it, and then the taxes on those. So, yeah, it's just really not worth actually shopping outside.
So I can cost you money if I send you enough stuff.
Yeah, you could. Absolutely. So yeah.
Hey, if no one else has any questions, I was thinking let's look at Cap Odin's slider thing.
Oh yeah.
We can still feed questions, but great news.
I have some questions, but
sure.
It's mostly for. I was looking at the good program, the good webinar you made about Outlook and automating sales.
Yeah.
And so I was interested in that, and I was wondering if is it available, the script, and how do we use it?
The you have to be more specific as far as when you say the script, because I just don't know which script. But typically, I make almost everything available. Right? There's a couple things that I don't, but I know. I mean, there's plenty of examples of writing emails, and I know in that one we had like 4 or 5 that were available.
Okay. How do we access the content that you make available?
On my website.
Okay.
So if you come to the
automator.com.
Yes. That sounded so much like an infomercial.
Hey, I like that name, the automator.
Yeah, I am happy with it. So if you go to webinars and then find the one on there, we have a lot of that, and then let's see.
To get the scripts and to get the AutoHotkey so we could use it ourselves, we have to go to which place?
To the webinars, and then you go inside here somewhere. I would typically so I can see that's a hyperlink to the file on my server.
Okay.
Right. So each of these ones here are hyperlinks to each of the files.
Okay. So I just click on those links.
Yeah, and if you when you watch the video, if you look in the description, I try to always make sure in the video you're on, I hyperlink back to this, of course, because it helps drive traffic, but it's more for convenience. That's where, because posting stuff on YouTube sucks, right? And so it's file-wise and things, and so this is where you can get the stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, you should actually go through all of your YouTube videos and then make those areas hot areas, so you could click inside the videos. Yeah, you should do that, Joe.
Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow.
Yeah, sure. Oh, you have quite a lot of video there, Joe.
Yeah, I got like over 400, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I the other day I got over 500 subscribers finally total.
Nice.
Which I mean, it's funny because one of my friends my son's friend who's 10 has like 4,000 subscribers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's doing Minecraft, right? And I'm like, yeah, okay.
I remember one Danish kid. All he did was actually unbox Legos, and he has like 100,000 subscribers or something, and just whoa, amazing. But yeah, you can make a name for yourself doing some amazing stuff and some weird stuff as well. But yeah.
Well, I know when I was first, Jackie helped me build my website, at least get the template going and explain all the settings. And we were playing a little, and I did some stuff with which one was it? Reddit, I think. And I got like, I'd post a stupid picture and I got like, 8,000 views to my website. And of course AutoHotkey like gets 4, right? But
I'm totally shadow banned on Reddit, so yeah, I can do absolutely nothing there. So what did you do here, Captain Odin? Did you actually mix some stuff together? You're talking about some JavaScript, it seems. So what do you need extra? Or where do you get it, Joe? Did you go to GitHub to actually get this?
I did. Yes.
Did he link to something else?
No.
You removed the need for the slider class. Doesn't it have what you need?
I removed it just because it's the same file.
So you have the slider class.
Yeah.
There. Yeah.
I just put it all in one just because I was doing it quickly. That's all.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so I see his note. I will need the JS as well. Okay.
Yeah. But where did you do what did you do with that? Did you just remove it? Did you download it?
No, I hadn't done anything with it. So I guess I well, where would it will I put it in the same file?
I wouldn't know. I haven't looked at it, and I can't see all your screens, Joe. So
yeah, well, we'll just try this first and see what happens.
That probably works.
It didn't like something.
Okay, so that is the JavaScript. So you need to load that into a variable or something else like it, maybe. It's hard to keep track of.
Oh, okay. So he's. Oh, wait, that was from Doctors War.
AHK doesn't run JS. Yeah, you can actually use that if you use it does stuff correctly. But yeah, where's the dependency of it? You should be able to find that within the class, Joe. Where it should work if you just download the folder. Okay.
Well, I didn't, and see that's. I didn't see a way to download the folder. That's what threw me. Let me here. You guys. I mean, I don't get into GitHub a lot, so
no, fair enough.
So let me go back to here. Now, how from here?
If you have the folder, where's the folder? Are you in the folder now?
Well, this is. You can see the screen, right?
Yeah, I can see the screen. But I'll need to remove some of the windows that I actually have open. I'm not the most versed in GitHub either, but if you go outside of that,
Cap Mode, he just gave it to us in the.
That's if you're logged in and you should be able to grab folders like this.
Yeah, I've done it before. That's what was throwing me. But he just gave it to us in the
Yeah,
chat.
I saw that, but I still wanted to actually do it now that we were here. But yeah, fair enough. I don't see it either.
So here we go. All right, let me exit out of these. How? I mean, I see the number updating. Don't get me wrong. What I don't understand is what
the number is probably just for that one alone. So each time you click on a new one, you just get a new number.
Okay, got
it. So they're not correlating to each other.
Gotcha. Right. Yeah.
This could be linked with AutoHotkey features so that it could work together and somehow.
It is a class that it just extends how you would use sliders in AutoHotkey and give you more options. Here you have multiple sliders on the same bar, and that's not something you would see normally in AutoHotkey. And of course, you have the options to actually color and stuff.
That's pretty.
It is probably have a lot of options for whatever you can do there. Where here you have probably a very narrow color scheme, but yeah, you could probably use whatever you'd like. So not just these purple and red colors. Yeah, I don't know where I'd have a use for it at the moment, but it's nice to actually know.
Well, Jackie, you would just, if your script's running and you want it to go faster, you just.
Yeah, that's a good use for it. Sure. Yeah.
It is cool. Yeah.
It is. It is actually cool.
I like you. I was thinking that. How would I use it? I guess if I had certain levels of something that I was trying to play with, and I got to assume also it'd be easy to make them like in increments as well instead of a completely granular interval value. But
is it Zoom that is making these graphical glitches, or are there actually some?
Oh, it looks crystal clear on mine.
Okay, because I'm seeing a few of the buttons being a little weird, but yeah, I can test it myself. And
yeah, it looks beautiful on mine. Very sharp, clear, no flickering.
It looks good on mine.
Nice. Yeah. Again, my connection has been ultimately very bad today, so yeah, nothing weird in it. Actually not being able to update the screen very well. Yeah, that is actually nice. Oh, and is there, don't have the chat window open. Captain, is there a max number of sliders that you can have within one bar? I don't know. Okay, so he hasn't tested it. Okay, it's just an idea I actually had. But yeah, nice.
Yeah, it is cool.
Maybe we should, maybe Captain here. Yeah, I don't know. We probably need an actual use case for it, but it's still really nice.
Yeah, as a concept piece, yeah. Because I think, the thing is, you got so much going on in here, right? That's why it's hard to be like, how would I use this? Well, you probably wouldn't use 20, sliders on a project, but you might have. I could definitely say like one or two here and one or two here and one or two down here.
Yeah, sure. But I one of the things that I really like about it is the coloring between the two sliders. Yeah. So yeah. You can kind of have a piece cut out,
which is for the stuff that I've had Maestria build, because I said I suck at GUIs, but AutoHotkey does some amazing stuff. But the one critique when we build GUIs is like the list views we were showing earlier, right? They are so easy to make and to update and do stuff with, but they look kind of like something out of XP. Which to me is okay. I love that, but some people think that looks old-fashioned. It's not slick, quote unquote slick. And it's cool to see an example like this because you wouldn't think that this was, this looks newer and fresher, a better design.
Yeah, and without knowing this to the end, but at one point I made a few GUIs where I used both some homemade and also some libraries that others made with the GDI library, made some GUIs that really looked great and had some nice usage. But the code needed to actually do these things was just not fun to actually keep updating and keeping track of what did what and all of this, whereas actually using HTML and CSS and all of that built in just helps make special GUIs like this a lot easier.
Well, but one of your, correct me if I'm wrong, but most visited posts on your website, the how to make a beautiful GUI, something close to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I worked through that like 3 years ago, somewhere in there now. And I'm like, it was simple, right, for overall. And yet you used pictures and just simply, toggled the picture what was there, but made it look like it was a pretty GUI.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it wasn't overly complex, but it looks so much better than radio buttons,
Yeah. You can fake it quite
Exactly.
well.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, the dynamic nature of using what simply is a website and all of the code that the companies has put into that behind the scenes actually makes what you can do with GUIs now, that you can control a simple HTML control or web browser control and use that as your GUI and fetch out everything from that, actually makes it almost unlimited what you can do.
Right.
With all of those nice transitions and all of these other things that you see people do on websites, you can actually now do on your GUIs just as well.
That's a great point of why bother in some cases building the GUI when you can just feed data to a GUI, someone who's already figured that part out.
Yeah. Really nice example. And happy to see people doing stuff with HTML and JS and presenting it through the AutoHotkey.
Yeah, let's see how complex, at least his example where he's using it is. Wow, that is badass, man. I was expecting it to be so much more complex. That's like, it's so, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't understand the code, but the fact that you're doing all of that in this few lines means it's really going to be easy to update, right, and maintain.
Yeah, if you look at it and you see the first 25 lines and remove the spaces, you maybe have below 20 lines.
Yeah.
And you have a GUI like that with all of that update abilities. Yeah, you have functions below it, you have a class, you have all of that.
Yeah, but
being able to do a GUI like that with all of the coloring and all of that stuff, it's just nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was impressed overall, but now that I look at this, I'm like, that is awesome. I mean, wow. Very cool.
But yeah, okay, you'll probably need some, I don't know how much you actually have. I didn't actually look it over, Captain, but yeah, some kind of documentation would probably be needed to actually know exactly how to use which and what, where.
Yeah. And especially the saving, because that one number, that's what was throwing me at first. This one number, it's tied to everything, right? And obviously in real world, we'd want each one having its own output being captured, which I know that's not a big deal, right? It's just setting that up. But yeah, that is very cool. Actually, maybe that'd be cool is you could have it sliding and have that updating the color or something, the hue.
In the example
or transparency or something, right? Because I'm just trying to think of what are sliders, how do I use them? And the thing is mostly, for volume control, okay. But I don't use them on a lot of things.
Yeah, I don't either. Again, it is actually a nice feature. But yeah, it's a lot of times when it's GUIs for myself or for others, it's easier to just let them type in a decimal number of some kind. Whereas if you actually have a range that stuff needs to be within, a slider like this is actually good.
Mm-hmm. Well, in my background in market research, right, where we would ask questions, and sometimes you'd love to have, here's like the strongly disagree, strongly agree, and people could truly have an interval scale where they could, rate it, and it wouldn't just be a 1 to 5 or 1 to 7, right? It's exactly where they want to drop it is a great functionality, and the fact that it looks so pretty, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I love those surveys where you have 5 options, and then the first things the surveyors actually tells you is that if you pick 3, it's counted as negative. So yeah, okay. So the middle option is a negatively counted option. That's just weird. So all of the surveys actually weighted to the negative side because 3 of the options are actually seen negative. Yeah, I just find that weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People get really crazy on scales. Trust me.
Yeah, I guess they do. I stole it from here. So he's a thief.
Refreshless.
No GUI slider. Interesting. That's probably been quite a fun project, huh? I'm guessing. So yeah. Okay, and here they actually, I'm looking at where he actually stole it.
Yeah.
Where, nice. Does yours also do? Right now I'm seeing it on my screen, but when I actually click between 2 of the sliders,
Oh, neat.
where did it go? Yeah, but go a bit deeper in the page, Joe.
Deeper.
Scroll down. This one, if you click between the sliders and actually, like that, and pull it.
Oh, wow.
Both of them. Yeah, does.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
Can you try and test that in Captain Odin's as well? Because I think he says that it actually does that. Try the colored ones, maybe. The ones just above that, those where there's only color between them.
Do you have to use a middle mouse button?
Yeah.
No,
I don't know. This was a feature. Yeah, I just found out as kind of a fluke that it actually did that.
Yeah, well, now you know what you got for homework, Captain Odin. Actually, did you finish your finals? I know. I think last time.
Oh yeah, that's right. You had something just when we had the hackathon. Yeah. Oh, good. Did it go well? Hope it did. It went well. Great. Yeah, interesting. And you can find stuff like this online as well. Quite a lot of different stuff. And if you at some point learn a little CS and a little HTML, either by like me and Joe doing web scraping and kind of getting to know all of this stuff, it's a great asset to your GUIs in general and to you as a programmer, probably. Yeah.
You know, and Jackie, maybe you can expound on, so like about 4 months ago, I was talking to, I don't think he's been on this call. His name's Hellbent, right? I've done a video with him, and he does a lot of GUI stuff. And he had built these GUIs with AutoHotkey, and he was adding items to his GUI. And when he got to like around, I think it was like over 1,000 items, AutoHotkey started really slowing down. Right. And so I'm like, well, hey, maybe Maestriath, can offer something. I'm like, I don't work with GUIs, right? That's just, even when I work with them, I don't work with GUIs. So anyway, we got him on the call, and Maestriath rebuilt everything, but he used an ActiveX control, I guess. And then he redid everything, and everything was, even with like 8,000, everything was flying around like it was nothing. And I was just like, I didn't understand any of what they did, because it was a lot of coordinates and things, and but so in the example here is Captain Odin, he's not opening up a browser, or he's not pulling it in from the browser. He's just using JavaScript. Is that right?
No, he's still using an actual browser control, an ActiveX control, or one of the other versions of that. Yeah, and displaying an actual web page for you.
Okay, thank you. Right.
And then just doing all of the functions and the formatting with CSS and JavaScript. Yeah.
Okay.
So you're actually interacting with a web page that's just controlled by AutoHotkey, or
Is that the Trident browser thing, or is that something different?
yeah, probably, yeah.
Okay.
I would guess so, but I'm not sure if Windows 10 is still doing that, but it probably is. Yeah, there are one IE for each. Okay, so each control is in its own ActiveX control. Is that what you're saying, Captain? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough. It's probably a good way of doing it.
So each one of these is what you're saying is the...
Yeah, each control is actually its own ActiveX control, and you're just not seeing the transitions between them. Yeah.
But again, the I would have expected some flickering or something, because when you have multiple things, I thought that's when you start seeing issues.
Yeah, that's the thing with you using an actual browser interface here. It's just a good way of doing it, because let's face it, probably a lot of the controls that AutoHotkey is accessing via the GUI commands are probably dated in some way or form.
Sure.
Just guessing, they're probably backwards compatible and only included in the new versions of Windows because, hey, that's what Microsoft does. But yeah, this is the new way of actually designing very, very dynamic and great looking interfaces. I just feel that getting used to the AutoHotkey, having the few tools that we actually have to build GUIs, like the simple one that's in ZA for AutoHotkey, where you would simply drag and drop controls into a GUI.
Right.
That one. It's a great tool for making something quickly, but yeah, you still need to program all of the interactions and how you actually what you do, and you just need to do that even more with HTML GUIs. And I haven't actually looked for it, but I'm not sure if you have that easy free access to drag and drop designing HTML things. Of course you have programs for designing web pages, but if you just need something bare boned like an interface for a GUI, there's probably no tools to actually do that at the moment.
No. Yeah. But I think with what like the class or classes that Capmoden's written, right? I mean, it you can start compartmentalizing and doing some stuff, but yeah, it's you're not going to be like, oh, what was it called? There is a GUI stealer, right? That would highlight stuff, and that's what you're saying is that type of thing is not available.
No, it wasn't actually it wasn't the stealer I was after. It was actually the builder, where you would simply drag 5 buttons to where you wanted buttons to be, and then it would give you out a code snippet with those 5 buttons at those coordinates. But for you to do something just as simple with HTML GUIs like this, you would probably need to have a general type of class that would be able to handle all of those functions for you, and then having some kind of tool to actually drag and drop HTML controls to. But yeah, it's just an idea I'm sitting here and formulating, where it would be great to have if I were to use HTML GUIs more. I'd probably need to have something to actually build them up a little faster.
Right. Yeah. Otherwise, it's time consuming. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be to equal to actually make a little homepage each time, and that's a little too time consuming, perhaps.
Yeah, and it is. I find ironic because I mean, you can tell, right? Just looking at my computer, I like the old look and just keeping it simple, but a lot of people like the Flash, and sometimes that's what they want. The client wants, and if they're paying, they get to choose.
Yeah, and I like the Flash as well. So if I'm making something for myself or for others as kind of a see here what I made, I'd love for it to actually be smooth and rounded and nice looking with maybe a few animations, not too much, but
Yeah.
just a little action when you release a button or whatever.
Yeah.
I like that kind of.
I'll agree with this one. The ability to easily add color to certain things. I wish, some of the GUI stuff. I know you can color code the font, but like list views and certain things I'd like to be able to easily distinguish by color and move things around. And
Yeah, and the thing with using HTML and CSS is that you have so many online resources to actually learn how to do it. And let's say coloring, changing an attribute, whatever, CSS to me is quite an easy language, if we call it that, to actually get a grasp of, so you can change all of these values. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you build your code right in the first way, and it's easy to apply it, right? I mean, it's just the structure.
Yeah, of course, it's a total industry and even a way you can go and become a web designer, of course, if you wanted to really go that route. But yeah, you have access to it. It's everything is almost built right there for you. And yeah, I finished my homework, Captain Hood. Okay, so
It's been a while since I've had homework.
Yeah, probably some.
I was gonna say I've given myself homework. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. I think that's also what we kind of did with Captain Odin here.
Yeah,
so didn't actually expect him to.
Oh, nice.
To get that finished already.
Yeah.
I got that was what he was referring to. But yeah, we need to download the folder again, probably,
right.
Maybe.
Well, if he throws it in the chat, that'd be much easier. For me.
Maybe he could actually tell us how to just download this folder. Yeah.
There it is.
Isn't he maybe doing it from one step up from here?
I'm not sure.
Maybe it's because he's the project owner. It's a little easier. Who knows? Yeah, it's there. I see it. Nice. You just needed to flip the switch, or what, Captain?
Yeah, that would have taken me like 3 weeks.
Nice. And here again, a good, nice. And between those as well, yeah.
Yeah, I love it, how cool it is, but I'm trying to think of how that would, I guess that website would be the best resource to look at how the example that you even saw, Jackie, where at the bottom of the page, right in here, how were they? Oh, they didn't even.
No, they're not really telling you what you should use it for or giving you any. But, but yeah.
I got an idea. Okay, all right, let's pretend these were temperatures.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, okay, what is the temperature, in Denmark? Oh, what are the average, the range for the highs and the range for the lows? Why can't I move? That's weird.
You could probably also use it to one being Fahrenheit and the other one being Celsius. And when you just move the one, the other one would just move in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
But yeah.
You're right. On here, this could be one and the other one would be, the numbers would be updating. Yeah. We wouldn't need it.
Again, but I didn't want to actually use two, but having them on the same slider. So when you moved one, the other one would just move in correlation with it.
Right. Yeah. But then have Yeah.
But yeah, if they were on the same slider, you could have Fahrenheit to the right and Celsius to the left, and one of the sliders would be one and the other one would be the other. It's just whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of uses for it if you can see when.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
No UI slider. Yeah.
Oh, that's why I couldn't keep dragging it down.
Because?
They have a max distance between each handle.
Interesting. So yeah. Again, it's the handles above. You need to move the top one and next to the top. Yeah, like that. So all of them. So you can't extend to the full range because you would extend the max range between each of them. It correlates to all of them, Joe. All of them.
Yeah, I get it.
All of this one. Yeah.
No, I get it. Yeah, I was just still trying to see. Even after I do that, then I can't adjust that one.
No, because now you're at max range both ways.
Yeah, but I'm not changing the range.
But again, like that and like that and like that.
Yeah, but now this one I can't drop down.
No, because then you would have max range above it as well.
But
you're at max range at both ends. The one with the 1900, it has 600 to the 1300, and it has 600.
Oh, I see. Okay, you're saying
2500.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So it's interlocked like that. So 600 is the max range in both directions.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Whatever you find a use for this, I'm not sure, but yeah. Maybe if you had, as we already talked about with temperature or something like that, if you had a heating system or something, and like you said yourself, highs and lows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, actually, so yeah, you could have summer and winter settings, right? In the wintertime and summertime, the high and low for each one. Anyway, yeah, there's...
Yeah. I think we're over time, right, Joe?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Is there anybody have any other questions? Thank you, Captain O, for sharing that. That was really interesting. Alrighty, I'm guessing there are no questions. So,
thank you very much for the meeting.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful holiday break. Probably see you next month.
Yes.
Same time.
Take care. Bye.
All right. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.